Welcome back to my kitchen. We are going to make something extremely simple today. Basically pork. Nothing really fancy, no big recipe, just throw some pork in a pan and add some seasoning. We are also going to go with our wonderful standby stovetop. I do love my stovetop. We've talked briefly in the last video about knowing your calories and knowing your serving sizes. So for stovetop stuffing, that is a 1/4 cup of water and 1/2 cup of stuffing. That's supposed to be a serving. We don't need 1/2 cup of stuffing. So what I usually do for this is I do a 1/3 cup of stuffing. So we're getting less. So it's a 1/3 cup of water, 2/3 cup of stuffing. You've got to be careful with that. I screwed that up. Yes, I have. We're also going to cut down the amount of butter that we put in it. Now for our pork, we're going to see, I'm thinking we've got some ground white pepper. We've got some garlic powder. I'm not sure what else. Let's see what smells good. I cook by smell, and that is an interesting phenomenon, and I know it's not normal. Which I didn't know it wasn't normal until I found out it wasn't normal. What I often do is give it a smell. That smells good. It's Italian seasoning. Basil, oregano, sage, rosemary. What else is in here? Marjoram. That's how it's pronounced. Thyme, savory, blah, blah, blah. Smells good. We've got white pepper. Be careful when you sniff white pepper. It's very easy to go. White pepper's got a little bit different. It's got a little bit of a sharper smell to it and a little bit different taste than what you're used to if you're using black pepper. So, smell that. Smell that. They smell good. Now I'm literally, yes, going to smell the two of them together. And that works. I can't teach you how to cook by smell. So I can't necessarily teach you how I cook. But I can tell you, smell your herbs. Get an idea of what they smell like. Then smell what your food smells like that you've cooked the herbs with. Gives you a good idea. A garlic, we go through garlic in this house. We go through powdered garlic. We go through minced garlic. We've got chili powder, but I'm already using the pepper. I'm gonna add a little extra sage. How about some minced onions? Actually, give me a second. How about some frozen onions? There's something new. Now, I'll be right back and I'll show you what I mean. And we're back with onions. These are red onions, chopped up, not really fine, but cut up some and frozen. The nice thing is, these don't take long to thaw. Toss them in a little bit of water, let them sit for a minute or two, and they're thawed. I keep onions in my freezer because I don't like to have an onion down there that I maybe use or maybe don't use, and then it goes bad. So if I keep little bits of onion frozen in the freezer, 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup tends to be what I normally go with. Pull them out when I'm ready for them, thaw them, and they taste just as good. What else are we going to make? Veggies. We got some frozen veggies. We are going to cut these open and toss them in a steamer. This is, love this thing. Silicone steamer. Always use water. Duh. I will link something like this down in the description. There's some good products that I use, and this is one that the hubby bought me for Christmas. 10 years ago. So we're going to fill it up with water. Not fill. We're going to go a little bit under the holes. Now we've got a little too high. I'm going to go ahead and pour some out. And there we go. Now we've got our water. We've got our veggies. And nothing fancy, I think. So I've got my green beans, but they're going to be kind of boring. So we're going to add garlic. Minced garlic, doesn't matter the brand. This is Food Lion's fancy brand. I've used Publix, I've used Bilo, it doesn't matter. You'll find it in the produce aisle, or at least I find it in the produce aisle, and it's fresh minced with water and citric acid, basically just to keep it from going nasty. We're gonna grab our cooking fork. So, cooking fork. What is a cooking fork? Well, this is my cooking fork. I cook with a fork. I stir my veggies, I flip my meats, I check my fish. What's special about it? Nothing. It's one of our regular forks. But I always cook with a fork. So we're gonna take some of this and we're going to put this right in the frozen green beans. We're gonna give them a little bit of a kick. Maybe a lot of a kick. I could put this in with the pork, and I may. The problem with that is it's very easy to cook these too much, but we may go ahead and do it anyway. We've got stovetop, which will take about 7 minutes, a minute or two to start bubbling, and then 5 minutes to make. The green beans are going to take longer than that. So we're going to start the green beans, we're going to put them on, then we're going to get the pork ready, and then finally we're going to start the stovetop. So I'm going to get this out of my way. The nice thing with this oven is I've got two burners, two big burners. Pot gets its lid. Make sure that, garlic. Make sure that is down. So we've got this, we're gonna add some oil. The pork cutlets, loin cutlet, whatevers, are rinsed off. I kind of wipe them off. They're just slimy. Dried, patted dry with a paper towel, and they're just sitting there. We're actually gonna put all the stuff in there, like a dry rub almost. We're gonna tap it all in there, put what we want on it, get the oil heated up, little olive oil, pretty much all I use. Yeah, that and some coconut oil. Get that started, plop them in there, and we're gonna do kind of a sear. Nothing fancy. I want you to realize there's some neat stuff you can do without having to have all this fun equipment. This frying pan, I think it's relatively new. I think I've had this one for 5 years. It's a Revere ware. That was loud. This is also Revere ware. You see a pattern here. This is Revere ware that I have had since 2001. We got some age on this. It's now 2020. So 2001. We've always had this pans for 20 years. They're not in bad shape, really. Not as shiny on the bottom, but that's just because I don't shine them. And let's go ahead and move you over so you can see what I'm doing here. Does that work? Okay, be glad you're not here. There is something on the burner there. All right, so we've got that started. We have got our Italian seasoning. We've got our white pepper. We've got our garlic, our onions. So we're gonna go ahead and toss these in the pan. We're gonna grab some oil. Semi-healthy dose of oil. Pork. Now what we want to do is we want to get this heated up, because when we put that pork in there, we want the pork to get in there and sizzle. This is one of my new acquisitions. This is Pampered Chef. It is a splatter guard. Love this thing. We've got some oil in there. Let's heat that up. Take a peek at our green beans. They are all frozen, which is how they should be. We're gonna go ahead and throw some garlic in there after all. But what we're gonna have is some oil and garlic and onion in the pan. Yeah, I'm gonna want a little more oil there. We're gonna take our seasoned pork, and I'm doing all of this right here in front of you. I will, however, probably speed things up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and season our pork. We will do that right here. How are we seasoning this? Well, we are gonna take some seasonings, we're gonna pat it on there, and we're gonna go from there. What I'm gonna do, after washing my hands off of pork yuck, one of these things that you kind of want to splurge a little on. Splurge. It's a ramekin. They're cheap. So I'm going to take all of this seasoning that I want to put together. We're going to put some white pepper in there. We're going to take some Italian seasoning. We're going to toss that in there. How much? That much. Do not be afraid to use seasonings, and do not be afraid to just kind of mess with stuff. I'm going to use a spoon to kind of stir this a little bit. Yeah, we need a little bit more of both. And this needs something else. but I think this might end up being okay. This is starting to heat. We want to make sure that the onions have a little bit of work to them. You can kind of see they're starting to go. Garlic should be browned a little bit, but not too much. We don't want to make that too much either. So that is starting to heat up. Let's check the green beans. They smell good. Oh, the garlic and the onion smell good together too. Need something else. How about, what looks good? What looks good back here? Coriander. I never use coriander. Ooh, that I think smells. Oh yeah, I'm gonna toss some of that in there. Okay, got that all set. Is that gonna be enough for, no. Don't skimp on the herbs. Be careful of your peppers. If you don't like really spicy things, be careful of your pepper. But don't say, well, that's gonna be good enough. If it seems like it's good enough, toss a little more in there. Okay. What I'm gonna do before we do that is we've got our stovetop 2 parts to 1 part. So we've got 2 parts of stuffing to 1 part of water. 1/3 cup of water. Okay, now butter. It calls for 1/2 tablespoon for a 1/2 serving. I do not use that much. I'm gonna use, this is maybe about 1/2, but that's for 1/3 serving. We've got our pork. Toss this on there. The other thing, I'm not a neat cook by any stretch. I do not think that you should be cleaning your kitchen as you go. You can clean it when you're done and you'll be just fine. Okay, there's one. We're still gonna need some more than I thought. I'm just gonna kind of work it right on there and in there. They say dry rub and they mean rub. Let's turn that on now. Okay. We got 3. And we have, and we have 4. Are we gonna need a little more? Yeah, I think we're gonna end up needing a little more. We'll put it right on straight. We're just gonna tap off a little extra into there. Got enough of the Italian. I'm gonna take a little coriander and we're gonna tap a little bit. Now why the tapping? Because it's very easy if you try to shake to suddenly get too much. So we want to tap. We want to make sure we don't get too much. These guys are set. Let's toss that back on. Let's put this off to the side. This is back on. Add a little more oil. There we go. I try to not use too much. Here's my fork. There's my fork. I try to not use too much. You gotta use enough that you're gonna actually cook it, but I try not to use too much at the same time. All right, now we're gonna let that get hot. Green beans are getting close. Since we got it. Stove top. There's 1/3 and there's 2/3 and a little extra because there's always too much water. Stir it up, pop on the lid, and that'll be done by the time these guys are done. Turn off both my burners over here. The steam will keep the beans going. And now the pork chops. Not going to be a high sear, but it's going to be a sear. And our splatter guard. Pampered Chef is a little bit pricey, but I saw the splatter guard. Now my husband's been complaining about the ones that I bought that were cheapy Food Lion rejects. So I said, hey, what do you think? So we got it. And he likes it because it's easier for him to clean. He does the dishes in the house because I hate it, but I cook, so it works out. All right, so we've got a good sear on there. We're going to continue to let that go for a little bit. And I talked in the pizza episode about my kitchen thermometer, and this is where it comes in handy. We've got some listings on here for ground meat, poultry, well done, medium rare, and it shows you, but it's excluding pork and fish and blah, blah, blah. But you can at least get an idea. So I can go in here and I can say, I am at 133, and that's before flipping it. So we are good. I'm gonna go ahead and flip them all. Got some fun little crusty onion. You can see it's the onions that are all crusty on there. We got some crusty onion and some crusty garlic. And we're gonna let that cook for another minute or two. Ow. And we'll check the temperature. I've watched YouTube enough to know that there is a lot of times little drinking games from with Alex Steele. It's every time he drops something. If you do this when I'm burning, don't do that. You'll be drunk. I have burned myself every single day I cook, at least a little bit. And last year was year before was the first time I didn't burn myself for Thanksgiving dinner. That is impressive. I've been making Thanksgiving for as long as I've had these pots. Check our green beans. They stabbed pretty well, but they still can cook a little bit longer, so we're good. Now, let's check our temperature again. Okay, now I got 122, 113, there we go, 122. So we've got a little bit more heat to get all the way through there. We're gonna move the stuffing out of the way. The other thing you wanna keep in mind, it's not on there evenly. So over here is gonna be a hot spot where that's not. So we are just gonna move them around a little bit. Now everybody does pork like straight through and really warm, and you can really dry out your pork if you do too much. I'm checking my temperature in a couple different spots. I've got 135, I got 121. Okay, so about halfway in, about in the middle, we're up just under where we need to be cooked. Okay, we're gonna flip them one more time. And now you can see the pork itself. Ooh. The white pepper tastes really, really good, but let me tell you, when it cooks up, it kicks up quite a bit. And you can see a little bit of juice coming out there. It's a little bit milky. You want to kind of let it get a little bit less milky. All right, we're going to take that off, and we are good and ready to put it out for eating. So, I tell you, you guys are just going to have to cope with me when it comes to this whole YouTube thing. I lose my brain. Let's go ahead and switch back around. And there we go. We've got veggies that are ready to get drained. We've got our pork is wonderful smelling and looking. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get you to see that. You saw it in the pan pretty well. And we are good. Hope this gives you a little bit of insight and makes you realize you don't need to do anything really fancy to have good food. The little bit of garlic in the green beans changes them up quite a bit. A little bit less butter in the stuffing and a little less stuffing. Better for your waistline. Trust me, I'm working on it. And the pork, you get the cutlets, the pork loins. It's a lot less fatty, smaller servings, a lot healthier for you, and not a whole lot of oil. Yes, we used oil, but if we used a full tablespoon, I'd be surprised. Get in your kitchens, start your cooking, and let me know what you're making. You guys have a good day. We'll see you next time.